are stabbing them, those Palestinians, they will go back to the Turks. They need to look at their history, because their country, the Middle East, was what? Colonized by who? The Ottoman Empire in 1517, right? And they had it, what? Locked down for nearly 400 years. So those motherfuckers need to start looking at who they are, because the real Arabs are what? Black people, people of color. They're not these people with straight hair who look near white European that you see throughout the Middle East. They're not even the real Arabs. They're not concerned about them, but they're not the real Arabs. The real Arabs are those black, what you see in Yemen, those Yemenis. Those are your real fucking Arabs. The ones that they're trying to exterminate, who the Saudi Arabians are trying to exterminate right today. Those are your real Arabs, those black Arabs, those dark-skinned Arabs, those Arabs of color. Those white-looking European, straight hair, blonde hair, brown hair Arabs that you see in the Middle East today are all descendants of the Turks, the Ottoman Empire. That's why the Turkey is allowing all of these so-called mad jihadists, so-called Islamists, cross their border to form a group that's called ISIS. They call it Islamic State, for them to be able to recreate the Ottoman Empire. So they were allowing anyone to join ISIS, and for ISIS to get as big and to take on as much territory as they can out the Middle East, because the Turks are looking for ISIS to recreate the Ottoman Empire. Because once they've established enough control out there, the ISIS, then the Turks will go in and put in their own heads to take over that organization. Because it's just another organization. Simple. But that's what they're trying to recreate. So that's who those fucking people are in the Middle East. They are not the real Arabs. They are Turks, descendants of Turks, of Europeans. That's why they look like that. Real Arabs are black and brown, people of colour, with woolly hair, not straight hair that look near European or near white, not at all. Yeah, because that's what those Arabs aspire to be. They all aspire to be white. So I wish them well. Go ahead and be Edom, be Esau and join him. But what I do know is, just like those so-called gutter rat Eastern Europeans that are prevailing around as the real Jews are not the Jews. Same way how I know those same fucking ragheads that live in the Middle East are not the true Arabs. The true Arabs are, you do have them out in different pockets throughout there, like I said, in Yemen. And what are they trying to do to the ones in Yemen? They're trying to exterminate them. That's what they're doing. They're trying to exterminate them. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So let's just get that straight. So we're going to move on now, and I'm going to read some scriptures regarding the Israelites and why we know for certain that these people have had a plan together to exterminate us. Exterminate, because it is prophesied in the Bible that they want to exterminate us. It's prophesied in the Bible. It's as simple as that. So all we have to do is now go to the scriptures to actually look at the scriptures to be able to put in line with what we're speaking of, what we're showing you here on these maps in through the scriptures. Absolutely. Yeah? So this is where we're going to move to. So we're going to take down these here now. And then we're going to go over, and we're going to start now, because like I said before, these people are not the real Jews. They don't have a single drop of Israelite blood in them. Not a single drop. They're imposters. That's what they are. Imposters of the highest degree. Let me tell you. Yeah? So, let's move on now. So we're going to go to Psalms 68. So forgive me, Salaki, Psalms 83. And praises to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai. Yeah? Keep not thy silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, this is Psalms 83 verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. And who hates us? Esau. Esau and his confederate partners hate us, because between them they've enslaved us, stole our history, murdered us, raped us, pillaged our land. Yeah, they've scattered us to the four corners of the world. Yeah, they've taken away our identity completely, given us this Babylonian frigging demonic Baphomet worshipping gods that they put up in front of us. So these are the ones. So when it says there, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, they're making a big noise, because they're all sitting there thinking, they all know who we are. So that's the tumult, the noise they're making. And they that hate thee have lifted up their head. So they that hate thee, the Arabs, the so-called Arabs, because remember what I said to you before, those people in the Middle East are not the real Arabs. They are the descendants of the Turks from the Ottoman Empire who ruled the Middle East for nearly 400 years up until the British Empire took them down. And I will keep telling people, if you want to know the history of that and how that went down, watch the movie with Pt2 called Lawrence of Arabia, because it shows you when the British Empire took down the Ottoman Empire to reclaim the Middle East. That's how they were able to cut it up and give the so-called Israelis the land in 1948. Cut Palestine in pieces and so forth, and that was able to cut Saudi Arabia and say that's Yemen, and give Qatar, Kuwait, what's the other one that's out there, Jordan, all parts of the land, and tell them where their borders are. They were the ones that did that. So, verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And like I said, we are the hidden ones. They've kept us hidden in the dark. They've kept our people in the dark in order to remove the children of God from this planet, to exterminate us, and then to hand over our identity to someone else, and whichever remnant of the children of the Most High that's left was to give them a new identity, to make them believe that they were someone else. This is what these nations planned against us. Yeah? Verse 4, they have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So that's what they've done. They cut us off from being a nation so that the name of Israel will no longer be in remembrance, because it is not. Because the true children of Israel, the true Israelites, only a handful of them know who they are and that they are the Israelites. Yeah, you have many others that have heard the stories or the rumors, or however you want to put it, but have refused to accept this truth, and still going on being part of these black Pentecostal denomination Christian churches, or Catholic church, or these white Catholic churches, or the rest of those who didn't get caught up and lost in that have joined Islam and become Muslims and worshipping idols and going around, walking around a black rock and kissing it 7 times and then getting stones and throwing stones at another set of rock pillars because they believe it's Satan. It's all fucking idolatry. That's why I can't wait for our Lord Yahuwah to come back and destroy them and put an end to this. Because that's all it is. But many of us are caught up in that. Many of the true children of Israel have either become Islamic, have become joined some black Christian denomination church, whether it's a Pentecostal church, Jehovah's Witness, so forth. You got the rest of them that have become Catholics, worshipping the white image of Cesare Borgia, the son of Alexander Borgia, the Pope. He was Pope VI of Rome. Yeah, who they use today to project as the image of Yahweh Shai, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. How many niggas are sitting down in their homes worshipping that white cracker on their wall? Straight hair, blue eyes, got stringy hair like a dog. Well, there's not a single description of that person in the Bible that represents Yahweh Shai. When in the scriptures it tells you Yahweh Shai had hair white like wool, woolly hair. We have woolly hair. It said his skin was like brass as if burnt in a furnace, so he's going to be blacker than me. How the fuck they end up white? Because the white man took our power, the Most High, and Yahweh Shai, and he recreated him as a white God, a white power, to serve his own nation and to suppress our nation. But many of us niggas are falling for that. So, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy hand. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, that they are confederate against thee. And this is what I keep telling our people. All of these nations, the Hamites, which are the Africans, yeah, the so-called Arabs, who are descendants of the Turks, yeah, you've got the the Japs and the Chinese, because all these nations and these governments and these elites know these truths. I'm not talking about your everyday John Doe. I'm talking about the elites of these nations. Yeah, the one percenters that educate the 99 percenters, that feed them, clothe them, give them jobs. The ones that control what's going on. These are the ones that know. I'm not talking about your average plumber, taxi driver. He's ignorant. He's just getting up every morning doing his shit, believing his destiny is to get up and go to work and to feed his family. So he's just doing his day-to-day ordinary shit. He doesn't even know, and he's been fed this shit just like we were fed this shit. It's just that it's not in his interest to find the truth about this shit, because he knows who he is. He knows he's a Caucasian. He knows who his people are, what they go back to. Whereas we don't. This is why we've had to search hard to find out who we were. All we knew about ourselves that we were taken off slave ships 400 years ago, and that happened for 300 years, back and forth across the Atlantic and the Pacific, and they called it the Transatlantic Slave Trade, which they did with us. And that we came from Africa and we were put in chains and we served the white man and we couldn't read or write, and the white man gave us a new language. We weren't all speaking English. That's all we know about ourselves. We don't know nothing else about our history. That's why we had to dig. So when we talk about, when the scripture says, for they are consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. This is verse 5, Psalms 83 verse 5. We're talking about the 1% that's the elite. We're not talking about your average John Doe, your plumber, your builder, your electrician, your bus driver, your taxi driver. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the elitists. The ones that go to the private schools, the ones that are working in the city of London, the ones that are high up within the corporations, the ones that are travelling on private jets all around the world. These are your elitists. These people educate themselves and find the best professors, and if they're not even willing to sit there and educate their own personal selves, they will pay for someone to be educated and to bring them the information they require. So that person in effect becomes like a dictionary, so they ask them a question and they give them the answer because they paid for that person's education. But this is the white man's education. The white man's education is a total, utter lie. The white man's perception and education of history all throughout Europe and the Western world is a lie. Why? Because of white supremacy. White supremacy came in the 18th century. Prior to that, the white man was just doing his thing like any other nation. If they defeated them in battle, they took their land, and then they would allow them to continue as they were. Once white supremacy came in, it was all about removing your identity, and everyone had to assimilate and become like these European Caucasians. So now you're seeing niggas walking around with tight butts. So, verse 6. The tabernacles. Okay, let's go back to verse 5. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. It said, the tabernacles of Edom. Edom is who? The white man, the Caucasian. Edom goes back to Esau. These are the forefathers of the white man. That's who they are. That's who they are today. That's who they were in the biblical time. That's who they were during the medieval time. And that's who they are during modern times. No matter how they think they can change who they are, the so-called white man, Caucasian of Europe, is an Edomite. E-D-O-M-I-T-E. Edomite. Yeah? So it says that the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites. And who are the Ishmaelites? The so-called Arabs. I just said that to you. Those so-called Arabs who are the Ishmaelites out there in the Middle East, it's talking about the people that are on that land today. They are also part of this co-conspiracy of keeping the children of Israel from their true identity and allowing the so-called Eastern European white Israeli to become who? The children of the Most High. You can't bring someone's child to a father that's not their true father and say, take him. Because he ain't coming, because he ain't looking to adopt no one. He knows who his child is. So it doesn't matter how many lies you tell, and how much you try to proclaim to be the real Jews, you so-called Israelis, you so-called Jews, Israelis. The Most High knows who you are. And that's the most beautiful thing about this. It doesn't matter how much makeup you put on your face or how much lipstick you're wearing. Once it's all washed off, we can see who you are. So we, at this present time, can see through all the makeup that those Israelis are wearing. The Most High can see through it. But the other nations can't see through the makeup. They can't see through all the foundation that you Israelis are wearing, and lipstick and eyeliner that you're wearing to pretend to be another nation. But we who know the truth can see that. And so does the Most High, because he knows who his children are.